I believe that God 100% answers prayers. I have been blessed with 2 instances in my life, which I can share later too. One where I've heard God audibly, and one where I've seen Jesus, and I'm not, and I'm humbled by
Good morning and welcome to Sold Out Saturday Stories. I'm your host, Rosiland Malone. I believe everyone has a story, and everyone's story deserves to be heard. So if you or someone you know need to borrow a little faith, hope, or encouragement, come close and lean in as my guests share their story on why they know that old news is still good news. Good morning, Sierra.
Good morning.
How are you?
Pretty good.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm so super excited. When you said I have a story, I'm like, really? I want to hear your story. So thank you so much for saying yes to this.
Thank you for letting me have this humble opportunity. I feel really grateful, so thank you.
Definitely my pleasure. I believe that everybody has a story, and everybody's story deserves to be heard. So, as you know, these are one-on-one stories about the Word of God with people who live their lives based on the Word of God, and they inspire other people to do the same. So I know you're one of those people. So thank you so much for saying yes to this.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
So we're just going to relax,
Okay.
have a good time, and share the Word of God and your story.
All right.
So before we dive all the way in, share with me your story. Like, what makes you live for Christ and not self or not man?
Well, I've always grown up in the church, so I definitely have that foundation, but I've realized, probably not till I was in high school, but I realized that God is the only consistent force. I don't have anybody else that's like not going to let me down at some point, or at some time may not have my best interest, but I know that God is the only one who has my back 100% all the time, looking out for me. And if I get to serve a God that has like my best interest, and I know like I'm going to be taken care of, and that's kind of been my driving force.
So you were raised in the church, and you know, a lot of times we are raised in the church by being drugged to church or brought to church by our parents. But when did you know that, okay, I need my own relationship with him? Were you younger then? Did you?
I accepted Jesus in 3rd grade of Awana. But
in 3rd grade?
Yeah.
Okay.
So but that was when I was like on fire, childlike faith, all that good stuff. But I was really,
even way back then?
Yeah. It was easier then, actually, I think.
Really? Yeah.
And then all the trials and tribulations kind of started when I started high school, and that was when I had to like reaffirm myself in this God that is consistent and, real.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit more about your story. We're going to go into some details if you like. Yeah. But first, before we move there, tell me your all-time favorite scripture.
It's Romans 5:8.
Can we read it?
Yeah.
All right.
But God demonstrates his own love for us so that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us.
That's huge.
I think about it, and I think about
huge.
Like before, he did it before. Like we didn't even that just blows my mind. Like we didn't. I wasn't even born. I wasn't even a thought. I was nothing, and he was already like, got it. I got you covered. And I just think about that, and that's just amazing to me. And it's so simple. It's like 2 sentences.
Simple. Yeah.
That's it.
It's huge.
I know.
and that's huge to even comprehend. Before I was even born, you died for me.
Yeah.
And a lot of people kind of think that's the Bible was written all those over 2,000 years, over 1,600 years ago. That's the Bible. How is it relevant to me today? And it never changes.
Yeah. I know.
Wow. And then your children's children.
Yeah. I know. It's crazy to me. I know. I just love that it's like he demonstrated that. Like we didn't even have to do anything except for we were sinners. That's what we did. And then he was like, all right, I'm going to do this for you. Yeah.
I know whoever's coming up on in the earth, in the world, they're going to be born into sin. So I got you covered.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Can you share with me how you make sure you stay encouraged and joyful and confident in your belief in who God is in your life?
I have like 3 or 4 ladies that I bug them all the time, and they're my people that I just get to even when I was in college, I would like email them once a week. Here's my requests, here's my updates, here's my life.
Really?
And these are women anywhere from age like 30 to 60, 70. And even now I've been, I keep in contact with them, go eat with them, or just something that just, I call it my word vomit. I get it all out, and they just rebuild me up and encourage me in knowing that it comes with time, that I have to, give myself grace, but also, keeping myself, accountable to this, and that I can't help other people if I'm not, doing well. So I definitely rely on like these good people that God has brought into my life. Definitely is a big thing. And then it's just a good accountability to remember that, my job, I serve people daily, and I have to remember that I can't do that if I'm not fully present. And so that is when I have to, pray about it, think about it, and then remember that when people ask me like, how are you doing this? How are you handling this? Like, I will, I can look at my patients and I can be like, it ain't me. It's all Jesus. Like, I got it,
to him,
Yeah, and that helps definitely.
Wow. So, being that you're way younger than me, I'm just gonna put it like that. And then your generation, how do you not get caught up, in just worldly things? And because you're in the world, you're not of the world, but you're still in the world. We have friends that are saved and not saved. How do you make sure that you're not conforming or losing your faith? It's the ladies in your life, but your everyday, ordinary lifestyle.
I think I've learned a lot about being able to, I always say that I grew up a lot faster than I should have had to. And I think that that's part of it. I've seen the ugly. I've seen what ugly does to people who've done good. I've seen the ugly that happens to people who haven't made good choices. And it's honestly a constant reminder that like those battles that I tell my patients this all the time, I'm one choice away from sitting right where you are. I'm no different than you. And so I have to tell myself, what I have is God. And so whether that be through my, my daily prayer or my time, just my own like self-accountability, I have to remember, it's really just a constant reminder for myself and whatever I'm doing of that I don't have, like I've seen the ugly, I don't want the ugly. Like I've been through the ugly, I don't need that. I got enough of that already that happened. I don't want to go through it again. And then I just remember like that, like the bad and stuff that's happening. So like my generation and all that, it's just honestly more than anything, it makes me sad because I see the brokenness and the way that people just want to be seen. And so they're not figuring out how to get seen. And that's where I'm blessed that I have a God that sees me.
And it's amazing because especially on social media, that's huge right now, social media, and people, I'm living my best life, no matter what it looks like behind the scenes, but in the world, I'm going to show you my best life. And that's not always the case. So you mentioned prayer. So do you believe that God still answers prayer? I believe that God 100% answers prayers. I have been blessed with 2 instances in my life, which I can share later too. One where I've heard God audibly, and one where I've seen Jesus, and I will not, and I'm humbled by that because I do not deserve that, but I believe it 100% because I've seen it, I've felt it, and that's helped me, feel stronger and safer. I get that. I can totally relate to that. So, can you share with me a specific time when you prayed about something and boom, God answered? Yeah, so when I was in college, I was really struggling with just a lot of things in regards to fear, and I have PTSD, so I really struggle with sleeping or being able to find peace and comfort in where I'm sleeping, how I'm sleeping, if I even do sleep. And
I remember I just was finally, after hours of just exhaustion and crying and just prayed, I literally was like, God, I can't do it anymore. Please take this evil and this darkness and all this like fear that I know is not of you out. And I'm not joking you, like bam. Like I was like quiet. It was quiet. It was safe. I felt, and then everything sounds crazy, but I saw Jesus. He was sitting there on my bed, and he was like, you can sleep because I got you. Like, I'm going to hold this. You could see the darkness over here, and he's like, you're not coming past me because, like, I asked, and he delivered. And so I just know. I know.
Okay. And I'm like, whoa.
I know.
I believe that.
Yeah.
And isn't it amazing how prayer still works? If you ask, he will answer because he can.
Yes.
Not that he will immediately.
Right.
But boom, suddenly he's like, I've seen what you've been dealing with, Sierra.
Yeah.
And the fact that you asked and you've suffered all this time, I'm going to answer you right now. But isn't it hard for other people to believe you in that story?
Right. I know. They're
So
like,
wait a
you're
minute.
22. How have you got that? And I haven't got that. And I'm all, it's a privilege that, some people don't get that their whole lives. And I feel, humbled, but I know that it's just another reminder when I tell people, like, you can get through it because, I tell myself, like, he's still there. Even though I got the privilege of seeing him right there, he was still there the whole time, even when I didn't see him, and that's what I, like, have to bank on. I'm like, yes, he's still there.
So how long ago was that?
That was, oh my gosh, like, maybe 2 or 3 years ago when I was in college.
Okay, so that's huge because that's that constant reminder, no matter what else is going on, you're taken back in your mind to that time. Keep believing. You asked back then. I showed up, right? And PTSD. Whoa, that's huge, though. So did he take that away? Did he ease you up, or are you just better able to cope with it?
I'm better able to cope. It's a process I've been dealing with for a long time. Part of me believes that a healing 100% is something, I know God can do it, but I don't think that's what he has in store for me because it allows me to be empathetic with people who've gone through it too.
And the fact that he allowed you to sleep, boom, when you asked, he can deal with that.
Oh, I know.
But you know what, that's important that you said that because a lot of times we go through things and it's not for our benefit or like you said, it's to help other people. So then there's the other side of answered prayer. There's times when it feels like God is silent, like he's not answering my prayer. And Lord, I know you can do it because you answered me then. Where are you? What's going on? I know you hear me. I'm praying.
Right.
Share with me a time when it felt like God was just silent and tell me what you did in the interim.
So when I graduated college in May of last year, I was looking for a job, trying to get into graduate school, doing all this stuff. I was like, okay, all right, Lord, I went to the college you wanted me to do. I graduated in 3 years. I've got an internship set. I've done everything, check. And I was like, all right, so where do you want me to go to grad school? And I was just sitting there. Where do you want to go? And then I was like, all right, well, June's coming to an end, and I don't have a job, and I don't know if I'm going to school. And then the denial letters started coming in from grad school.
Whoa.
And I was mad. And
Were you mad at God?
Yes, I was mad. And I was like, hold up, I did everything you told me to do. Why are you doing this to me? We had a plan. I was like, we had a deal.
But did you start thinking it was just me?
Yeah.
Like leading me there to that school? Did you start, because God wasn't answering this particular time, where you start thinking, okay, was it me that chose this college and this?
Well, I was thinking more but Lord, I thought I did it all. I thought I checked the boxes. I thought I was following it. And I was mad. And then I've got to say, I got a job, and I'm realizing even more now, humbling myself and going back to, I've actually told one of my patients the other day, I said, you're the reason why I'm not in school right now. I said, I'm here to help you. And they're like, oh, great. But, I'm like, no, but seriously, I'm here to help you. And God was like, I don't need you over here right now in school right now. Yeah, that may be what you want to do because you want to go out and be, move forward. But I need you here with these people over here. And so that's what ended up happening. And I felt like he wasn't answering, but his answer was, you need to be here. And his answer was, you gotta wait because I just got my admission letter to grad school for next year. And so I just got it like a month ago. So I already know God was not telling me no. He was just telling me, you gotta wait. I have something else better, bigger and better for you until we get to that point.
And these people over here need you right now where you are without that other school, without that other information. So that's huge.
Yeah.
It's good because a lot of times when we feel like we're not hearing from God, we just do what we want to do. I'm just going to go to this college anyway. I'm just going to go, set ourselves up for failure, if you will. So I'm glad that you are obedient. I'm glad that, God speaks to you and you hear him and that you're patient. And it's because there's a lot. What's your definition of the Bible?
Well, I mean, I'd say it's God's word, but it's also just, I think about it, when I was a kid, I was so much better about just like, I had a kid's Bible and I could, just like look through all this good stuff.
Look at the pictures.
Yes, it was so much more, But I realized what the Bible kind of has shown me now, or what it's, developed itself into be for me, is it has like, everybody, has this like, it's almost like a story in a sense, but everybody has a piece that like really like defines their life almost, even though it all comes together, it's intertwined in a way. And whether it be not even just people in the Bible, but like I have people who have their favorite verse and I'm like, what verse is that? And then they'll and then they'll tell me exactly, and then they'll be like, well, yeah, and then this, made me think about when I was doing this or that, and I'm like, oh, I never would have even thought about that. But then it actually brings almost like, I don't know, say like modernized, but it brings the reality of that the word, of God doesn't have a timeline. Like it's still relevant. And so it just, for me, it's, there's just this huge relevance in it because everybody can pull something from it at different times.
Everything is in there.
I know.
It's amazing because I keep asking people, what's your favorite scripture? And it's always different. Well, not all the time. Because sometimes it's the same one. Like I've had a few people conversations and Psalms 23 is their favorite. And I'm like, okay, it's familiar. Why is that your favorite? And they tell me, and it's like it's always a different story. Yeah, I love that you said it's like, everything is in there. You think it's this old word, but no, it's still relevant today. For everything that we have in there. So you don't have to go to your friends, right? And you don't have to depend on other relationships outside of God. They're in our lives for a reason, but ultimately, God is still there and he will never leave you or forsake you. That's comforting.
I know.
Wow. Wow. But you have to build that relationship, right? So you also talked about prayer. What is your definition of prayer?
I think prayer is anytime you want to talk to God, so it doesn't have to necessarily be, before a meal or before bed. Or, my thing is, anytime you're having a conversation with God, you're praying. So that could be, for me, when I would, I'd pray when I'm crying out because I can't sleep, or it could be when I'm like, oh, thank you, Lord, for getting me here on time. I'm super grateful. Thank you so much. You got me here. I'm so glad. Or okay, Lord, please let me get to the gas station. It's right on E, whatever.
I'm driving on fumes.
I know. So, but I really think
you too. Come on.
I know. But seriously, anything and anytime I'm talking to God, I consider it prayer. Like I don't have to be. And I tend to be more of a person that doesn't, necessarily be like I gotta pray at this time. But I tend to be
all day
going
long.
to go whatever I'm doing and. Hey, what's up? What's going on?
Yeah, but that's so good. And it's a good practice. And before you even know it, it's like I'm already talking to God. I'm already praying. I'm already talking to Him. It's just this continual conversation. People are like, oh, look at that woman over there talking to herself. If you only knew.
I know.
Right? If you only knew. So Sierra, who is God?
God to me is my ultimate protector and my ultimate, he is my constant force of protection. I say protector over and over and over again because that is what I've struggled with my whole life, is feeling safe. And so he's my protector, he's my provider, and he's literally, like I said, he saved me. Not only did he save me, from my sins, but he's saved me in this world so many times.
So I feel like there are some things in you that you want to get out of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about who Sierra is, what she wants to share with even people in your generation, because so many, it's our generation too, but more so your generation for such a time as this, that are struggling, that are lonely, that isolates themselves, that, are anxious for things. And if you can tell them anything you wanted to tell them right now, because you can tell them, what would you tell them to encourage them to get to know God for themselves?
I guess I would say that God is your number one advocate, and that God, it's cliche to say that you've never done too much for God to go away from you, but that God is earnestly seeking you. And I think that would be something that's like so important to remember, that even when the awful, horrific things that are happening, that God is still there for you through that entire process. And I think that that is something that we easily can forget and lose sight of, myself included. But I would just want people to know, my peers, those who are older than me, those who are younger than me, know that God sees the big picture that we're not going to see, and that the ugliness that's here that we are so focused on, and myself too at times, is going to be this beautiful thing that we can create if we allow him to. And I think that's I think that's just something that I want people to know, that they have that, and they have that safety and that comforter and that person, that God, that he wants to be that for you too.
So God is no respecter of persons, right? Yeah. So you mentioned you asked God, he answered, and he showed you. And it's people that goes, well, like you said earlier, excuse me. He's done it for you, but he hasn't done it for me. What am I losing? What am I missing? What am I, you know what I mean? How do I get to him? How do I, turn my life over, but I'm having fun over here?
Yeah.
So it's these kind of relationships that people, if I can't see you, then why would I want to have a relationship with you? You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to define that relationship with God. If you haven't been through anything that you have. If God hadn't shown up on my bed, but I've been asking him, it's really kind of hard to understand that relationship that you're talking about. So faith is a powerful thing, right? Faith in things that we can't see, and faith that we don't know this God that you're talking about. And I don't know, it feels like a lot of times people have to go through something to find Christ, right? People think that if they work hard and that if they treat everybody right, that's enough.
Right.
What do you think about that?
I think that,
I'm treating everybody right, Sierra.
I know.
I got this job, I can buy myself anything.
I know. I think that people, it comes with humility, And I think that that's so hard, even myself. And, with me, it's like, I thought that I lived in my bubble. I really did. And I thought that my bubble wasn't going to be pierced, especially not by, in the way that it was. And, I always say, trauma is relative. So it's, what somebody may be traumatized by is different by something else. So I feel like we all have our struggles. And so we have to, it goes back to that God is the only constant person. He's the only one who's not going to let you down because he has your best interest in mind all the time. And so, I have to, go back to that. And then, there is the questioning of how in the world, Sierra, after everything you've gone through, how is what you went through what's best for you? How in the world is that even possible? And I have to tell myself, would I have, been able to, rely on God as much as I do if I hadn't gone through that? Probably not. Would I have been able to love on different women and little girls in the same way with this empathy, no, you know? And so, and that's filling, you know, when I'm able to serve them, as draining as it can be, as triggering as it can be, it's a constant reminder that like, but I get filled knowing that they're like, oh, I'm not the only one who's gone through this. I'm not the only one who's seen this.
You talked about living in your bubble. So you were in this bubble. Was Jesus in that bubble then? Yeah, he was in that bubble. That's how you felt like, okay, I'm protected and I'm safe because I'm in this bubble.
Right.
So what happened?
So I always I always thought I was gonna be, you know, I'm so blessed. My brother is like one of my best friends. He's 3 years younger than me. Love him to death. You know, I have great parents. My parents are still together, which is a huge thing nowadays. You know, I'm the only granddaughter. I'm the only niece.
She's spoiled.
So it was like I grew up in this, like, you know, I just felt so loved. All of my family lived in Manteca at one point. Like, I was just super blessed. And, you know, 7th, 8th grade, I had my great years. I loved junior high, super good. Went to high school, you know, I'm like, all right, I got this. August, September, rocking it out, and bam! I was sexually assaulted by my cousin, who was basically 10 years older than I was. And to this day, my grandparents who were there, they didn't see it, but they were in charge of my brother. My parents were out of town. To this day, my grandma will still not admit that I even told her that it happened.
Wow.
So there's this constant, you know, and when I started thinking I was getting better, when I was in college, I had 2 more incidents that occurred. And I think that I lived in this thought that, you know, I have this family, these people who should never betray me, these people who have my back, who have my best interest in mind, who love me, who spoil me, who take care of me, who, you know, I think would defend me to the end of the earth. Oh, maybe not so much. And like, you know, going from being the granddaughter that was considered, literally my grandma used to say to me, you know, you're my answered prayer, to don't come to my birthday parties, don't call me, don't go to I didn't invite them to my college graduation, like things like that, you know. And it's just something like, I've grown so much from it, definitely. And I grew up really fast. But I realized, you know, that's when I finally had to realize, like, at first I took it as nobody's safe and nobody's good in this world, so I'm just gonna, you know, isolate myself, and I'm gonna be angry, and I'm gonna be scared, and I'm gonna be hurt because you can't trust anyone, and everyone's out to get you. And then finally I had to evaluate myself because God spoke to me before it happened. He told me, I walked into my grandparents' house and God told me to leave the house. And I was like, you're crazy. This is my family. I don't know what is wrong with you. I'm fine. You know, wow. I was very oppositional. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like questioning. And I remember when I didn't leave, you know, I was like 13 years old. And God said, okay, Sierra, I love you, and I'm gonna be here this whole time. And I was like, I literally just kept saying, okay, I don't know what you're talking about, but I got it. I already know you're here. I know you love me. You're always here with me, you know. The past 13, 14 years have been great. We aren't really, you know, got my struggles here and there. And he was just like, I promise you I'm gonna be here this entire time, and this is gonna be horrible, but I've got you. And I was like, and I literally was just like, I have no idea what you're talking about, Lord, because you're just talking things that don't make any sense.
I'm safe. I'm at my
I'm at my grandparents' house with my brother and my cousin who was my best friend. And, you know, and then it all happened and it just, boom, everything went down, you know, crashed, the bubble burst. And I was like, Lord, hold on. What the heck did I do? Why is this happening? Why am I losing? And then, you know, it wasn't just that. I was like, I'm losing my family. I'm losing, you know, different things. And I think that's when I was like, how did this happen? Like, I thought I was, you know, following it. And that was really then, though, when I found, this need for safety, this need for knowing that someone has my back and best interest in mind, because I was like, can't trust anybody. Like,
Wow.
how do I know?
Mhm.
And that's when God was like, you can trust me. I told you I was going to be there. I told
Wow.
you I was going to, you know. And it took time, you know, to get back to that, because I was like, how in the world is this what's good for your plan, you know? But I see it more now. You know, I had a youth pastor who told me, he said, who's going to be better than you to talk to some little girl who's gone through this? And I was like, but I don't want that job. I don't want to be that one. Why did I have to be that one?
Right.
But then I realize now, as I am, you know, working with little girls, or at my work, and I have women who are in their 70s, and why should they be able to relate to a 22-year-old girl? And I can say, no, I was there too. And it was...
Not that I know about it.
Right.
But it happened to me too.
Right. And not that I can empathize and say everybody's story is the same, because it's not.
Yeah.
But I felt that same violation as you. And, like, let me tell you how Jesus helped me get through it. And that's just the thing, you know. I think, you know, the bubble was burst, and in that it sprung a new life, per se, you know.
I'm so sorry to even hear that. You know, it's never easy. And I sit here and I look at you and I listen to you and I'm going, but God still has your best interest at heart. And God, you're still depending on Him, right? Because a lot of people will say, okay, God, where were you?
Right.
But the fact that God said leave, and then, you know, kind of in our disobedience,
right?
You know what I mean?
I was like, where do I even go? I'm off.
Yeah, you know, but He said, okay, so if you won't listen to me, I'm going to take you through something, you know? So it's a beautiful thing that you still have your relationship and you still trust Him, you know? And like you said, what did I do? Why do I deserve this and all this? And God said, I was telling you, I was speaking to you and I was showing you. But the fact that you can turn around and go, okay, God told me this and I remember, but He said He would also take me through it because I didn't listen to when He told me to leave, but you still have a relation. That's huge. I remember there's so many stories of abuse and so many choices that we have at that point. Like we can turn away from God or we can run to Him, right? And so I'm so glad that God showed you who He was at a young age, right? And that He's never left you and He never will. You know? I remember going to a conference and Christine came. I don't know if you know her. I love her speaker. And she talked about her abuse and talked about being in a foster home for so many years and not knowing her mom. But look at her now. She says she had a choice to either stay there or serve God, you know? And she said she just goes all over the place and she tells her story, but it's helping other people. So the fact that God is using you to share that story is powerful. So thank you for feeling safe enough, you know, to share your story with me, because I pray that it blesses the masses, because
that's my hope.
Everybody has a story, and the fact that you're sitting here and sharing your story gives other people hope. So thank you so much for sharing that. That's not to be taken lightly, but God is still good, no matter what. God is still good. So. Wow, that's pretty powerful. And I know that you're touching lives, and sometimes it doesn't seem like it. You know what I mean? When we're in the middle of all of this,
of course.
Or the girls, you know, you're a leader in the church, so you get to, you know, that gives girls an opportunity to come to you. You know what I mean? Just by you sharing your story, they feel like, okay, I could be comfortable in sharing my story with Sierra. Wow. Powerful. Thank you for not keeping it to yourself, because it's huge. When you told me I have a story, you know, you just never know what people's stories are. But God is still good and He's still faithful, and you're like, He never changes. He loves me.
I know.
Even before all this, He saved me. Back to your all-time favorite scripture, right? Even before. Golly. So what inspires you? Just
I just love helping people. Like, I mean, you know, I'm like I told you before, I'm a substance abuse counselor, and never thought I'd end up there.
You guys talk so fast. You're younger generation.
Oh, I know.
You talk like my niece.
Yes,
I'm
we
like,
do.
where'd you get that
That's
from?
true.
So you are a substance abuse counselor.
Mm-hmm.
Huge.
And I seriously never thought I would ever do that. I always thought I'm gonna work with families and kids. I'm gonna do this and that, and it's a whole new ballgame, that is for sure. But every single person I have had the humble opportunity to work with, because I always tell them, who am I that you're gonna just come in and tell me your story, what's going on with you? Like, you don't even know me. I'm this little tiny girl over here, and I all my patients are older than me, and so they're like, what's this girl doing here?
What is she gonna tell me?
Yeah, how is she gonna help me? And my thing I always have to tell them, is I can't tell you anything about your story. Like, that's you. You own that. I don't own that. I have no right to tell you, that type of stuff. I'm just here to hear it, love you through it, give you, some hope and, different things like that. And I think, but that's what gives me like a drive when I'm seeing, and it's not even if I see them succeed or not, but sometimes when God will give us that opportunity of seeing it click with people.
Yeah.
And those are like those extra inspiring moments. But for me, it's when I get to just talk to people, like, it's so humbling every day to sit and people want to share their hardships with you. And they're like, I've never told anybody that. And I'm like, you've known me for like 3 weeks. Why would you tell me that then?
Yeah, you're safe.
Yeah, I know. And so I realized how important safety is to me, and realizing that, like, how important it is then that I can give that to somebody else. Yeah. And so I just find, inspiration is in that, and knowing that people then ask me, like, well, why do you feel safe in this world? Or why do you not feel safe, or whatever? And I can say, I have a God that's bigger than anybody else. Like, in anything else,
Wait, pause. Wait.
Well,
yes.
And so
He's using you to be the light in dark places. Because that's what we are called to be, right? And I love that you said, I was going to do this. I was going to do this. And God was like, no.
You can go over here. I know. Here. I know.
You're Sierra, you're going to shed light in dark places over here to people that are older than you.
I know.
Who, me? Yes, you. I can use anyone and anybody at any time, and He's using you to share light and hope. Right. So you have an opportunity to people that may not know Jesus in their older years can get to know Him because of who you are and where God has placed you.
Right.
So I'm sorry that you wanted to do all that.
I know, right? I know.
Hey, so what breaks your heart? How much time do we have?
I know, seriously. I'm a big advocate against injustice, so if there's any level of that, but I would say when I'm hearing this type of stuff, like sexual assaults happening to people younger and younger nowadays, or at least it's being, exposed, I guess, per se. And I know it's been around. I know it's not, I'm not naive to that, but, I hear, these stories of young girls or, even older women who have told me, this has happened when I was this age or that age, and I just think about how blessed I was that, I had my parents and my brother there, who just rallied and loved me, and then I have this amazing God who's, just protected and used it. And I think about these people, I'm like, you've been going through this for how many years by yourself? And that just breaks my heart. Like, so things like that where, other women or men who've gone through that. And then also people who, when I see, just like these kids who, I worked at a middle school when I was doing my internship in Fresno.
You're only, about 15? You just keep going like, wait.
No, it's true. When I was there, I went to school in Fresno, so I had the blessing of, I worked at the DA's office too, and when I was at the DA's office too, we'd meet with these low-income families, and you just hear these stories of just horror. Like, it was just, and I'm like, I'm sorry, your kid's like 5. How is this happening in your home, And it just breaks my heart when I'm hearing these things, and people don't know that they have access to certain outlets or different things, and I was blessed that I had people who advocated for me. But, so it breaks my heart when I find out that, I'm like, you didn't know you could get this? You didn't know you could get, monetary compensation, you could get, relocation fees, you could get, this for free, and they're like, huh? what? And so like that type of stuff where it's like that's not told. People don't know that when they go through something awful, not only are there people who have also gone through it, but that they have outlets, you know?
Yeah. That they don't have to isolate themselves, but they don't know.
Yeah.
So the things that inspire you and the things that break your heart, how does that show up in the way you live your everyday lifestyle? You've said it so many times.
I just think I've been given the gift of, I call it the gift and the curse, because sometimes I'm like, Lord, I don't want to be seeing people right now. It's making me sad all the time. But I've been given this gift of being able to see people, and God has, nudged me. Really just, it's hard. And it's so interesting because for a long time I was seeing the worst in people, expecting the worst because I was fearful. And now I'm like living in this life of like, well, there's got to be a reason why they did that. Especially the people I work with, I'm like, there's got to be a reason why. And so I've learned a lot, and, God's given me that too, of being able to really just see people, my day-to-day life. We were at the beach just a few weeks ago, my family. We're walking in the thrift store, my mom and I hear this old lady, just speaking to the cashier, trying to get help because she's in this situation where she's living and she's trying to get this person out and she doesn't feel safe. And I'm like, do I say something? Do I not? I don't even live around here. And then God was just like, and I realized it's not even the fact that like we're giving somebody these options of how to get out or giving them these things. Like that they feel, oh my gosh, I'm being seen. Somebody else is seeing me.
And I hear you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think that's huge. People just want to be seen in this world. And that's especially my generation. They have this need to be seen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you hiding behind them? Like you have this need to be seen, but what do you really want seen, And that's like where this day-to-day, like, okay, how can I help people to feel seen and safe? And feel safe to be seen,
And it's so amazing. It's because God is using your story in your life. And it's like, but I live right here in Manteca. How do I help the masses? Guess what? You're helping them now. It's people want to be seen for a lot of the wrong reasons. And people want to be heard, but they feel like no one is listening.
Right.
So you're in a wonderful position to tell them who God is. And that he's everywhere.
Right.
And that he's always listening. Huge. Huge at 15 years old.
15. Do I look 15? I know. I'm like,
maybe like 13. I don't know. I'm like, all these things that you say you've been through and these places that you've worked and all of this. And it's like, she's been here before, right? So, but I love your love for Christ. It's huge. And I see that he's keeping you, and so that's a wonderful thing. So I have this question to ask you. I know you're 15, but I just want to kind of like ask you this question that I've been asking all of my guests. Okay, so based on where you are right now in your life, what would you tell young Sierra, a younger Sierra? What advice would you give her?
I was like, as 22-year-old Sierra, what would I tell 15-year-old Sierra?
Right.
I know.
Right, come on. Like
22-year-old Sierra who's still 15 at heart, yeah. I would tell younger Sierra, just to I guess like really find roots of peace and like to look for that and be okay when it takes time to develop that, like with people or with things, and be willing to know that your hurt and your pain may bring somebody else like peace later on, I think that's what, maybe 8-year-old me will be like, what?
Okay, now I understand why I'm going through this.
Right.
Wow. Listen to the word of the Lord. He's speaking. It's crazy though, right?
Right.
It's like, is this my voice or is this God's voice? Or, discernment. Right. Really. Okay, so share one fun or interesting fact about yourself that people wouldn't really know.
Oh my goodness. I'm such an open book, so it's like, what do people
They know
not
everything.
know? An interesting or fun fact. Well, I mean, now everybody. I always used to. This is my thing. Well, my family knows this, and some of my like good friends know this. But when I was little, I always had a jumper at my birthday party, like one of the bouncy houses. And I used to. But my birthday's in February, end of February, so it would normally rain. So we would pray. I would literally pray the week of. Lord, please don't let there be rain
I need a bouncy
on my birthday. You can rain after they pick it up. I don't care. And I'm not joking to you. I think pretty much every single year it has not rained on my birthday until after we close it up. So like God's answering person sounds like 3.
Right.
But that was always the funniest thing like about me. It's like, oh no, like that was the staple. It did not matter what cake, what presents. There better be a bouncy house there or I'm gonna freak out. And so
I love it. I love it. But he was still answering.
Oh, I know, at 3.
Because it doesn't have to be this ginormous
no, it could be a little thing.
Yeah.
It's little things that matter.
Amazing.
Of course, that was huge to me when I was 3. Like, if I don't have a bouncy house.
Pray the week of.
Yes. I know. Oh, yeah.
Because you might forget if I pray, sooner.
Yeah.
Right?
Our Lord, it's coming to that time of year again.
That's
I know.
amazing. That's funny. That is funny. But it just shows us, hey, God he's in the little small details, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. One last question.
Okay.
If you could sit at the feet of Jesus for 1 minute, just 1 minute, because he has people, right?
I know. I know.
1 minute. What would you ask him? What would you tell him? What would you want him to do in the world or in your life? 1 minute. Would you even be able to speak?
I know, probably not. Oh, I know. I guess I would just tell him, like, thank you for keeping me breathing and going every day with everything that's going on, and just that he can fill me up so that I can just continue to love on these women that, girls and who are going through it, and just that he can bring me peace when I'm exhausted and keep me safe, or at least keep my sense of safety so that I can show people that I want to show them, that there is safety in Jesus, even when I tend to lack that belief myself. So I just pray that he would fill me to use me in that, and then just thank him for the fact that he's already done it, and just pray he keeps doing it,
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
It's been an honor to sit
Thank
and
you.
hear your story. And I pray, I just know that it will reach the masses and bless other women and girls and young men, that also are violated. To know that there's hope, and their hope is in Jesus.
I know.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been wonderful.